So I'm just going to give you an overview of the Data Alliance, what the program is about, what we have done as a Data Alliance. And I also want to go over some lessons learned, because I definitely want you to take something with you from this presentation. I don't want it to be just informational, but I want you to take something away with you. So with that said, let me move to the next slide. So quick overview about the SDG Data Alliance. So the Data Alliance is really a partnership, and it's very much based on reducing inequalities of all kinds. So the partners are Public Foundation, ESRI, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, United Nations GGIM Secretariat, and CHIA. All these organizations joined forces in 2021 to form what is called the SDG Data Alliance. And so the Data Alliance really uses the power of purpose-driven collaboration and GIS technology to accelerate the development, the achievement of the SDGs by creating SDG data hubs and country-level action plans across developing countries in Africa, Asia, the Pacific, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So we work a lot with developing nations, and really data is the core component of our work. So let me move forward here. Okay, I wanted to give you an overview of the partners, because really the partners is what makes the Data Alliance unique, because they all contribute knowledge, resources, and their experience to the partnership. So we have Public Foundation. I represent Public Foundation. I act as a project manager, and Public Foundation, it's really the fund manager and program manager of the whole program. Then we have ESRI to the right here. ESRI is a very important partner. We have Charles from ESRI on this call, and ESRI definitely contributes a lot of different resources. For example, training for developing countries and licenses so that they can build their data hubs are two examples of what they contribute. We also have W.K. Kellogg Foundation. It's an important contributor to the Alliance. And we have UNGGIM. UNGGIM is very valuable in terms of providing the IGIF framework, which I'll be talking about in a few moments, and really their expertise when it comes to the selection of countries and overall data frameworks. And then we have CHIA, who is another important contributor to the partnership. So these are the partners of the Alliance. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I really wanted to give you an overview. Okay, so I wanted to touch on some of the objectives and outcomes of the Alliance. So the first one that you see here is to leverage and strengthen the in-country expertise from geospatial experts within and across governmental agencies and organizations, leveraging the data hubs. So this is important, and I think it ties also to capacity building, which is something that I heard before in this call. We definitely want to strengthen the capacity of experts in developing countries, making sure they have the skills and that they are able to sustain the data hubs once they create them. The second one is address national and global reporting requirement to report on SDGs with a specific focus on SDG 10. So it's a very important objective to be able to help countries to report on SDGs so that they can track how they are advancing on the Sustainable Development Goals. And the next one is accelerate achievement of SDGs by accurately identifying areas for focus on investment. Really, the ultimate goal is to use the SDGs and all the tracking through data hubs so they can ultimately really make decisions based on data and make investments. So that's another important objective. Okay, so I just mentioned SDG 10 in the previous slide. So we're very much focused on this SDG, which is reducing inequality. And this is the most important step that countries can take to improve standards of living. So when we say inequality, we are talking about different kinds, right? And so we have some examples on the right-hand side. We have equity for women, we have reducing hunger, reducing poverty, improving access to clean water, and taking action to reduce the impact of climate change. Those are some examples. Okay, so the Data Alliance does a number of different activities, but I wanted to explain the two main activities that the Data Alliance focuses on. So one of them is country-level action plans, and this is to improve national geospatial information management, which is an essential element of national digital infrastructures. And the second one is SDG Data Hubs, which is to enable monitoring of achievement of SDGs by goal, target, and indicators. And I'll be showing you a couple of examples so you'll see how the data hubs look like. Okay, and here we go to one of the examples. So we have done, just to explain a little bit where this is posted, we do have a website, which I'll be explaining a little farther into the presentation. And so the website is sdg.org. In this website, we have posted many of the data hubs that are either completed or that are in progress. So this is an example of a dashboard that is in beta, meaning that it's not completed, but we have posted that along with other websites. And now the country is actually working on this data hub, and they're making really good progress. So I thought I would show what we have posted now, but just keep in mind that it's not the final product. It's just to show you an example of some of the things that we have done. So what you see on the left-hand side is the website that I'm talking about. And then on the right-hand side is a screenshot of the data hub. And as you can see, when you click on it, you can click on one goal. Here, I think I have poverty open, and you see the country, and then you can see data tied to that specific goal per region. So the differentiated areas will give you that information as you click on it. So that's just one example of how we're tracking SDGs and how we're working with countries. Okay, I also wanted to explain which countries we're working with. The SDG Data Alliance began country-level engagement with an initial group of countries. There are a total of 30 candidate countries, but the ones that have an asterisk next to it are the ones that we are currently working with. So in Africa, for example, you see we have Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Morocco, Mozambique, Rwanda, Senegal, and South Africa. Okay, I wanted to go over to lessons learned because I think you are all very much engaged with data, and I'm sure that you're working on projects that have to do with data. So I wanted to leave you with some lessons that I think can help you. And these are things that we have learned as we develop data hubs with different countries. So this area is very much focused on data and governance. And then I'll have another area focused on capacity building. So the first lesson I wanted to highlight here is that I think it's very important to engage the right level of stakeholders from the beginning of a project, because a lot of times people focus a lot on the technology and the data, but if you don't have the right agencies involved and the right leadership involved, the data hub will not succeed. So that's something that, if you're working on a project that is very much centered on data, I would say that's a very important lesson to really have that engagement from the get-go. The second point is considering governance and policy decisions early on. So this means, for example, that you consider how data is going to be shared, how it's going to be made publicly available, for example. And there is more to governance, but I'm just mentioning these two aspects. I think it's very important to identify these aspects before you get farther along into your data project, right? Because a lot of times people are fearful of sharing data. And so it's important to gauge how the organization is going to be able to share it, who's going to have access and all that, as early on as possible. So when that data hub or data is ready to go live, all these things are established from pretty much the beginning. The third lesson is assessing skill level and ability to sustain data hubs will make the project successful long-term. This is something that we actually do a lot with developing countries. And I have Charles on the call. This is something that he and his team do very well. And it's assessing that the country have the skill level to build a dashboard and then to sustain it. I think it's important to assess that. The next point is to develop an initial version of Data Hub relatively quickly versus following a long process. I'm a huge fan of building a product quickly and presenting that to the organization and then reiterating from there versus having a long preparation process leading to a dashboard or a data hub. But then, but perhaps by the time you get there, sometimes people forgot about why they want to use their data, or perhaps it's not as important as before. So I'm a huge fan of really having a product quickly and having people reacting to it and then reiterating from there until getting to that final product. And the last one is creating more than one path for countries to be part of the Data Alliance. That's something that we have learned as a group. I think we have our traditional path that takes really countries through a process of completing a country level action plan and then their data hub. But we're realizing that that path doesn't necessarily need to be applied to every single country and organization. And now that we have a new SDG solution, which serves as a template for developing a data hub, we're realizing that we can actually grow our program much more because that solution can be shared with other organizations that can just use the solution with minimum training, and they can actually develop a data hub on their own by using the solution, as long as they have a license, right? An S3 license. So that's something that we're discovering and exploring, and it's going to open more doors for organizations or local governments or different levels of government to be able to develop a data hub and track their SDGs. So I'm going to move to the next one. The next one focuses a lot on capacity building, which is something that we do as a group when we work with countries. And so we're very much focused on training and really providing the tools for countries to be able to develop data hubs. So one of the things we do is provide GIS training, but we also believe in peer-to-peer learning. So a lot of times we have events where we bring different countries together, and that's an excellent way for different countries to learn from each other. We also are focusing on increasing access to GIS software and technology. We definitely want to make sure that as many countries and organizations have access to the tools to build data hubs. Let's see what else. Expanding the awareness and knowledge of geospatial and GIS. This point is focused on events and convenings that really allow that learning experience for countries and organizations. So, for example, we something that we would like to keep doing is to host an annual in-person and virtual events with SDG Alliance countries. That's something that we did last year and that we think we'll continue doing. Share case study stories and videos via SDG Data Alliance and SDG.org platforms. And then, like I said, leveraging events, right? Whether it's public events or GGIM regional meetings, we think that really creating that geospatial community to support each other and learn from each other is key for this project. And I think that also applies to you in the sense that you are a community too. And I really see the value of how you help each other with not only with data, but also with different projects, with strategy. So I think this is something that you're doing too. And the last one, work with partners to develop best practices for building data hubs and tracking SDGs that can be replicated on mass scale. I think we really want to make sure that we're working with partners. So eventually, in a few years from now, we really want data hubs to be done in kind of like a mass scale, right? So we really want to grow as a group and provide the tools so a lot of organizations and governments can build this. Okay, so really quick, I touched on SDG.org, and if I have time at the end, I'll give you a quick demo. but if not, I would explain it here. So SDG.org, again, is the site that we use to post information, but we have also created a learning tab where we have a lot of different trainings and tools that help individuals, governments, and also Data Alliance countries to really learn how to create a data hub, but also learn about the Sustainable Development Goals and learn about GIS skills. So that's something that we have built, but we continue building because it's really a continuous process. We also have all the data hubs that we have created and the ones that are in progress in the site. And we have a story section that features important news and the work of partners. Okay, and that takes me to the end. Erin, I don't know if we have a little bit more time to do a quick demo or if I should stop here and then I can...
No, please do that. I think we do have time.
Okay.
Please do the demo. I think people would be interested in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the site. Let me stop sharing. And then I'll also invite Charles if you want to talk about the solution a little bit as I go through the site, feel welcome to do that. So let me pull the site here. Share. Okay, so do you see a website now on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this is the main page of SDG.org. This is what I was talking about in the presentation, but I wanted to navigate here to this page where we have posted some of the current hubs that are ready, which can be found here. And also we have upcoming hubs that are the ones that are in process, right? And these are not ready, but we are posting them here. So we have this, and then if we go to stories, we have different stories posted that talk about sometimes partners or news that are going on related to the Alliance and SDGs. And we also have a learning tab that this is what I was talking about the resources that we have built. And I'll paste this link on the chat in case that you are interested. So if you go to, we have it divided by users. And I wanted to just click on one of them. So this is the solution, the SDG Hub solution that I was talking about. So if you click here, you have the opportunity to download this solution that Esri has created. So if you go down here, you can deploy the solution, and there are instructions here as well and requirements. So you can follow sort of the steps, and you can really launch this solution fairly quickly and get started with your data hub, essentially. So this is a resource that, that we can share and that is available on the website. I also wanted to refer to the SDG Geospatial Learning tab. This is a great resource that Esri has created too. It definitely has a lot in terms of, GIS skills. You can, how to get started, how to learn about GIS and SDG library. So it has a lot of different things here. And let's see what else is worth showing you. Then you have a lot of information about trainings that help you advance SDGs. So that's something that it's available too. I was just clicking on governments just to click on something, but we also have civil society, which is a tab dedicated to individuals, right, that want to learn more about Sustainable Development Goals. So that's worth checking out too. So I think I'm going to stop here and paste the links on the chat. That way everyone can check this out after the call. And then I'll be happy to take any questions too. Thank you, everyone.